in observing, some of the stuff with like the death penalty, I think the thing that I've come to realize is it's clearly not an effective way of preventing crime, um, or prison system in general. And we don't have to get too far into this, but what have maybe you seen in some of your work as some like as more effective things that, or you would think would be more effective in, from a Christian perspective of like what we could see maybe to deal with some of the, I mean, there is always going to be crime because we're fallen people. But what maybe are some better answers you think?
Yeah, so I think that that's exactly the right question. A lot of people, they say immediately, "What about the victims?"
Yeah.
And that's exactly the right question. And it's victims, some of whom I write about in this book, who are murder victims' family members, like their loved ones were killed. Some of them, like Suzanne Bossler, were survivors of the crime. Like she was stabbed multiple times in the head. And yet they walk away with this deep conviction that violence is the problem, not the solution.
Yeah.
That killing the person who killed is not going to heal the wounds of killing. It just creates new
Yeah.
wounds and new victims. So what are the alternatives? And I think there are people that are imminently dangerous. Like the person who killed Suzanne's father, or the Dylan Roof, who killed my friend Sharon Risher's family, and the folks in Emmanuel AME Church.
Yeah.
Um, but we can keep people protected from someone who's dangerous without killing them, and I think that's where we've got to be more creative. And then there's people that have done something terrible that, as my friend Brian Stevenson says, we're all more than the worst thing that we've ever done. And can't we, doesn't God's grace, have a word to say in all of this? Like, can't we believe that someone who even took a life 20 years earlier, in their, maybe when they were really young, maybe they were hurt and then they hurt someone else. And so you think about this, like, can't we believe that there's some form of justice that restores and allows a different future for them? So there's a lot of countries that have entire models of restorative justice that I think could help us on that. But you're right. I mean, when it comes to death penalty, part of the problem is we keep putting so much resources, and so much of our energy behind things that are not working.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not effective, and that's why there's a whole movement of conservatives against the death penalty, because it's more costly to execute someone than it is even to keep someone in prison for the rest of their life.
Oh, wow.
It's ineffective.
Yeah.
Police chiefs all over the country were asked, what are some of the deterrents of crime? And the death penalty doesn't even make that list, because
Yeah.
when someone's doing something that heinous, they're either not in their right mind, they're certainly not thinking, "Oh, I'm in Kentucky, the death penalty is
Yeah.
here." Like it's just not. That's not the case. So there's no data that uh, really makes a case for the death penalty. So you start to say, why do we have the death penalty? And this is what became really so troubling. It's because people believe the Bible um,
Yeah.
justifies the death penalty, and that's why even states in, like, New England and the Northwest, where Christians are least concentrated, did away with the death penalty based on that data. And the places that have held on to it, it's largely, even in court, Bible verses are used to
Yeah.
by district attorneys to try to put the death penalty there. So yeah, I think it raises all the right
Yeah.
questions,
Yeah.
about